What is going on, everybody? And thank you for tuning in to another episode of the ManUp Real Talk podcast. I am your host with the most, Mr. Michael Wiley, saying greetings and salutations to all of you, our faithful followers and listeners. Y'all already know, listen, we appreciate every like, share, click, and download, whatever it is that you do to support this podcast, because we know that had it not been for you, there would be no us. And we know that y'all can be doing any and everything else, but y'all hanging out with us, and we greatly and honestly appreciate it. Listen, if you're joining us for the first time, I want to say welcome and enjoy. And if you're coming back for another helping, I say welcome back, because your boys is back on the air with the ManUp Real Talk podcast, the podcast for the people. And joining me as always is my brother-in-law, or actually just my brother. I don't even like saying brother-in-law because that sounds so informal. My brother's joining me on the show, Mr. Philip Hines, a.k.a. Mr. Classic, a.k.a. OG Triple OG, as always, and definitely in the building. What's going on, man? I can't hear you, Phil. I think you're muted.
Yeah. What's going on, brother-in-law? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing fine, doing fine. And as you can see, we're not alone in this venture, because joining us on today is our special guest, our favorite internet pastor, Pastor Steve-GWC of the Greater Works Church Ministry. What's going on, Pastor Gibson?
Man, I'm doing good. I told you, I'm excited every time I get an opportunity to hang out with the brothers of the ManUp show. Listen, there's going to be something going on tonight.
Yeah. Look. It's I don't know if the guys are scared to show up or if the ladies was afraid, but it's all right, because it's gonna get to somebody who need it. That's how
this is gonna be a good one tonight.
Yeah, I gotta turn my fan down. It's a little warm up in here. And I ain't want to put the air conditioner on, but
can't get hot in the tunnel already. We ain't started yet.
I know, man. I'm already sweating, and I'm like, man, we ain't even started yet, boy.
Bring it down.
Crazy. Yeah, I gotta say what's up to everybody in the chat. I see Mitzi, I see Benita, and I see the other few people. Listen, God bless y'all. Thank y'all for hanging out with us today. People? Yeah, look, we got a good one for the. I think we got a good one for today. Listen. Ladies, if you're watching, or if you're watching later, I encourage you to watch this with your significant other, because I think this is something that's needed. One thing I know about relationships, and I believe Pastor Steve is someone who actually counsels, do premarital counseling. I'm sure he can confirm that communication is one of the key things in regards to relationships, and for a relationship to be successful. If you can't talk about it, you can't possibly fix it. If you can't admit nothing is wrong, you can't fix it, because stuff ain't just gonna magically go away.
That's right.
It's just not. Now, if you all have been following us for any amount of time, you know that our very first live show that we did 5 reasons why your man may be tired of you. Yeah, and it was targeted towards the women folk, because we were just giving you guys some things that you all do that may kind of weigh on us a little bit, and just be like, you know what, I just can't with you right now. So I thought we would do something different, because this is called ManUp, and as we know, the term ManUp simply means to step up to your responsibilities, or
That's
to own
right.
up to your responsibilities,
That's
or
right.
just to own up, so to speak, to the things that you may do or have done and do better.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight we're doing 5 reasons why your woman may be tired of you. Yeah, we might step on some toes tonight. So ladies, I'm telling you now, if you know somebody, you might want to tag them in this video, because it's gonna be a good one. It's gonna be yeah. That's gonna be pretty interesting. But Pastor, I wanted to give you an opportunity just to say something a little quick, because I know we talked about. I know she's talking about how much time y'all got. We only got an hour, Benita, so we can't.
Only an hour, Benita. Only an hour, but it's gonna be good though. It's gonna be good though.
But what are some of the common things? And when you do counseling, what are just some of the common things that you run into when it comes to couples, whether it's premarital or whether it's maybe it's marriage counseling? What are some of the common denominators or some of the issues that you find throughout couples?
Wow, I might have to say what Benita said, how much time we get.
let's just do 2.
Well, you actually started out with the number one, and that is communication. And I mean, and that is an umbrella that houses a whole lot of stuff. You look, talking about people being not on the same page. And the sad part is I talk to couples where they actually think they on the same page. But they think they're on the same page because they haven't got a chance to sit down and talk about it, to let each other know what page they on. And then you find out there's all these huge disconnects. Disconnects in how they think about stuff, disconnects in how they view stuff. So that we spend a lot of time, and First Lady Sandy and I, we do marriage counseling together now as well, and brought her into it so that we can get that woman perspective too, to help the guys understand. Look, this is what she's trying to say right here. Right. And you ever heard that saying, women are from Venus?
Yes.
Mars.
Yes.
Man, look, you might need to add in Pluto, Saturn, and Jupiter and all the rest of them, because the way these lot of couples come together, they don't connect in their ideologies, they don't connect in their thoughts, and we try to get them to the point where we can create a safe environment where we can talk about that and get them on the same page. Now, I'm gonna put the disclaimer out here, fellas. I'm just gonna throw it right out here.
Let's go.
Most of the time, when we deal with these couples, the ladies pretty much already know what the problem is. They listen, because I'm gonna tell you something. They are thinking about it while you sleep. They thinking about it while you eating. They thinking about it while you watching TV.
Preach, Pastor.
So you're not thinking about it most times at all until it's brought up. So they already know. So I'm gonna just go ahead and get the ladies their props right now. Y'all already know what the deal is. Y'all just waiting for that moment to talk about it. And so that's one of the biggest things that we have to deal with, is creating that environment. And then these guys are like, well, I ain't never heard that before. When did I do that? When was I like that? When did I act like that? And look, when you ask that question, fellas,
you already know they got a whole checklist.
Look.
They can run it
Be
down
careful when you ask that question.
Yes, sir.
They already got the examples, the precedents, the descriptions. They got their Roe versus Wade.
You said Roe versus Wade.
Man, they got precedents that go back generations, Jack. So that's one of the main things we deal with, is communication and them not being on the same page. Most of the time, it's in that men are looking through them logical lenses, and women are looking through the heart lens.
I was just about to ask you what do you think the major disconnect is? Because I can't say that it's always like the man just don't know or he's not listening, but it has to be something that it always seems like there is some disconnect between what I may say versus what she may hear, and vice versa. The woman can say something, and what she say, for whatever reason, is totally different than what we hear when they say it. So it's like, I wonder sometimes, what is it just because we don't think, we're not thinking, or maybe we're thinking too logically? Is it just that we're just listening to respond and not to understand? What do you think that disconnect is?
That's good, because we deal with that a lot. And I'm gonna tell you the simple answer to this is, when men hear a problem, we can't resist the urge to go right into fix-it mode. Because that's what we do. We fix stuff.
Yep.
Right. Look, if you brought it to me, honey, then it sounds to me like you want to fix it. But sometimes it's not about fixing it. Sometimes it's just simply about listening, because you can't really fix something if you haven't heard what the complete problem is. And see, women, they want to go into the details, which is okay, but they want to tell you the story, the backstory, how it happened, give you some what you want to say, give you some context.
Yes, sir.
Give you some examples to support this. But they're going in a lot of times just wanting to be heard. You know, and I'm gonna share something you all with you because we're gonna be transparent. Ain't no need of us being on here if we can't share our own issues, right?
Mhm.
Right.
One of the biggest disconnects that I had dealing with my wife, and we've been married, we just celebrated 30 years this year.
Congratulations.
So, you
That's
know,
what's up, Steve.
been together a long time.
Long time, man.
And one of the things that I had a problem was listening. And when I say listen, I use the term active listening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And see, that's a difference. And I tell couples now, it's a difference between listening and actively listening.
Yeah.
Active listening says, A, you present in the moment, and you're not trying to listen just to get your line and waiting for her to pause
Right.
so you can jump in there, or you thinking about what you're going to say next. Active listening says, I'm putting aside everything I'm thinking right now,
Right.
fully focusing on what I'm hearing right now.
And see, that's that. And since we are being transparent, I can honestly say that's my biggest thing. I listen to reply, and I don't listen to understand what she's saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that causes even bigger issues because when stuff is brought up, you're just ready to go. You're just ready to make your point.
Yep.
And you're ready to say, well, this, and this, and not, okay, well, I really hear what you're saying. Like that, that's something that you have to practice doing.
You got to
because
practice.
I think automatically we as people, we listen to reply and we don't listen to understand.
Yep.
And I think that's why you have a lot of misunderstandings when it comes to couples, not only couples, but just people in just everyday conversation. You're not listening to me to understand what I'm saying. You're just listening to me to wait to reply. And that's and I know personally that's an issue that I have to work on.
And the one thing that men we deal with in couples counseling with the men's issue is, you said listening to reply. A lot of time they listen to defend.
Yep.
You know, and I'm gonna put it out there. Egos come into play. Look, ego, it means two things. You can have an ego that's strong, that can take stuff, or you got an ego that can't take nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times in marriage counseling, the man's ego always comes out if they can take something or they can't take it. And most of the time they come in, they can't take it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I was like that too. You know, we don't want to hear all the time.
Not at all.
What we doing wrong, because our ego wants to be stroked.
But could it be now? And I got to play the flip side of that coin. Could it be also that some women are quicker to point out what you're doing wrong versus what you're doing right? Because that was one of the things that we discussed when we were talking about 5 reasons why your man may be tired of you. Because women have a tendency of telling you everything that you've done wrong or do wrong, and not just say, oh, okay, cool, I appreciate you. Look, give you an example. Washing dishes, right? Mm-hmm. You can go in there and wash dishes, and I don't mean just washing dishes. You can literally go in there, because a woman's definition of washing dishes: wash the dishes, wipe down the counters, clean the stove, make sure everything is clean, mop all of it. That's washing the dishes. It's all encompassing, right? So you can do that, but she would come in, and because the dishes aren't put up the way that she normally puts the dishes up, she would say, hey, why did you do this? Or how come you did this? Instead of saying, oh, the kitchen looks good. Or, hey, the kitchen looks great. It's why you put the dishes this way. That's the first thing. And it's just like, so out of everything that I did in this kitchen, your response is, why did I put these bowls in this cabinet? That's what you got out of. So I think in some instances, and I'm saying that that's not always the case, but I think sometimes men are a little bit defensive on that, because a lot of women tend to always point out stuff that you didn't do versus what you did do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna challenge you on that piece right quick, and this might make some being mad right here.
Go ahead.
A lot of times it comes from how you started with the relationship too. See, a lot of this stuff that you're talking about, while you were saying it, in my mind, I'm thinking about, well, how long have they been together?
Right.
You know, because you're not getting that type of behavior on the first date.
Not at all.
You ain't getting that in the first few months. You ain't getting none of that.
No.
But see, when you first encounter it
Mhm.
and it's not dealt with and it's not talked about,
Right.
then it becomes like anything else, like your child. If you keep letting your child do something all the time, that becomes a part of them. And you have to address that thing in the beginning. Like,
Mhm.
hey, you know what? If we're going to be in this thing as a partner,
Right.
you need to know. I don't know if y'all have fella heard of what they call 5 love languages.
Yes.
All right. So that's one of the things that we deal with. And one of the main love languages that men want is called words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes couples don't understand their mate's love language. And men love to be affirmed with what they're doing. And somewhere I always wonder, did anybody tell that young lady in the beginning how to understand what her man's love language was? Because if she understood that his love language was words of affirmation, that means that she has to go in with a different approach, not coming in finding the one thing in the kitchen you didn't do, but you come in and finding everything that he did do. Now, once she tells him and compliments him on all the good stuff he did do, that's when she can come back and ease in. But look here, baby, next time.
Right.
Next time.
Ain't that kind of how Jesus did it?
There you go.
But
Jesus,
you know
like,
what, Mike?
You know, because he used to look. I mean, when Paul was writing the letters to the churches, he told them everything good they did first, and then said, "Now, let's talk about the stuff that you ain't doing."
Exactly.
You know, so he gave that encouragement first, and then he said, "These are the things that need to be corrected."
Jesus,
sorry,
he
Phil,
did
go
that in
ahead.
Revelations, didn't he?
Yeah,
When he spoke to the 7 churches.
Yep.
He
Absolutely.
said, y'all did this. You kept my commandments. You
Yep.
spread my word. He said, but I have one thing. I have somewhat against you. I have one thing that I'm going to have against you. He told the church of Laodicea, you lost your first love.
Absolutely.
So that's a coaching style that you can do it, that we do at work too. You don't never come at somebody, telling them if it's 10 things, you're going to tell them 10 things they did wrong.
Right.
You got to go in there and find the 5, 6, 7 things they did right. Talk about that, because guess what? Now, if you telling me 2 or 3 things, I'm kind of okay now, because you just told me out of those 10 things, I did 7 of them right. So now, see, and all you got to do is work on 3 little things.
It just makes them more receptive.
Exactly, and that's what couples have to understand.
Gotcha.
But see, if they not taught that, and that's why premarital counseling, Mike and Phil, I personally say is so important, and I stress it before I marry couples. I encourage it that these are the things that you're going to have to know going in, and if you understand this going in, your communication is going to start out being really good.
It is important, because you have what I find in the beginning is that you're doing everything to kind of, especially if it's somebody that you like, you're doing everything that you can to kind of please that person, make sure you don't say anything wrong, or, so it's a lot of things that you kind of, you let go. And I think what couples and not only premarital counseling, but I think that even in the dating stage, you get with somebody, listen, that you need to be honest with that person right up front. This is what I'm looking for.
Yep.
This is what I'm about. This is who I am. And I think that if that precedence is set first, then further on down the line, when stuff don't work, then it's maybe just because that person ain't for you, but not because they did something that you wasn't expecting, or I didn't know this about you. No, because I told you everything that you needed to know about me right up front.
Yep.
And I think if people would be more honest in the beginning, you would probably have relationships that's a little bit stronger further down the line.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm going to piggyback off of what you are. The first thing we said was communication. That's why communication is so important in a relationship, because no one just wakes up and start doing something new. Whatever that person is doing, they have always done.
Yep, exactly.
That's why when in marriage or boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it is, you two have to set those boundaries in order for her to know things about you and for you to know things about her. So the first thing we said was communication. And I think that should be, like, in my opinion, communication should be like number 1 on the list, because that's me and you getting to know each other. You know, you telling me things about you, and I'm telling you things about me, so we can know how to be around each other. And I think a lot of relationships, a lot of people don't communicate with each other no more.
And you know what, Phil? It's a good chance to in that scenario for the brothers. If they ain't able to talk to their wife, they ain't able to talk to their girlfriend, talk to their mate. They probably wasn't able to talk to their sisters. They probably they probably weren't able to talk to their daddy. And even when they were talking to their friends, it wasn't any real meaningful conversation.
No,
they ain't getting into no deep topics about it. So a lot of times that's something that's been coming on since they were young. Yeah. And it don't change because you're about to jump the broom either.
Nope.
Because guys that don't talk before they get married talk less when they get married.
Yeah.
Or when they get with a girlfriend. So
I'm married to a woman that's gonna make you talk, so I can't do nothing but talk.
Well, see, that's good though. A lot of guys won't gravitate to somebody like that.
Yeah. Right.
They'll gravitate to a female that's gonna let them be the way they are and not challenge them. And I say, you know, and them girls and the women gotta understand. Look here, don't be afraid to ask some questions. I got this thing I said called Ask 100 Questions. I got a book.
Tell me about that.
Ask 100 questions.
Elaborate, Pastor.
How I say it again?
Elaborate on that.
All right. So 100 questions just says this. All of the stuff that you want to know, you need to ask it up front. And I use online dating as an example. The reason why online dating is successful like it is because you get to find out a whole lot of stuff in the first few hours
in the beginning
that would normally take you some months, probably some breakups, some heartaches, some grief to find out later on. So people we're in a generation now, people want information now. And you ask 100 questions, says that everything that you want to know, let's sit down and have a conversation with it. Now, you don't get to all 100 questions, but that's just the premise for it. And you get to find out what kind of conversations can that man handle? What kind of topics can he handle? Now, if he ducking and dodging and humming and humming and ain't, can't articulate nothing, those are some red flags going up.
Right.
But if he can articulate and say, you know what, this is how I feel about that. This is my viewpoint. And understand, viewpoints don't always mean you agree. And I think that's what couples, men got to understand too. Just because we said it didn't make it right. And we have to be okay with that. That, you know what, that's just my viewpoint. She has her viewpoint too.
Right.
Couples dangerously treat each other as if the other person does not have a mind of their own. And that's why communication is so bad, because if you got poor communication, you said, listen, I'm going to talk, you going to listen. That's it. And that's a narcissistic approach right there.
Yes, it is.
And look, brothers out there listening, if we all check ourselves just a little bit, we got a little Napoleon in us a little bit.
We got to check that. We got to check that ego a little bit. We got to check the ego a little bit.
And look, and if you say we're not telling the truth, you just told me right there, you got a lot of Napoleon in you.
Yeah. Yes,
because we men like that, we want to be right. We want to be the one giving the information. We want to lead, and that's okay. But you got to lead with the mentality that female, she got a mind too. She got a brain too. And you need to at least give her the opportunity to express herself. Don't shut her down the minute she talks. And that's why communication is bad with marriages. The minute a person hears something they don't want to hear, they shut down.
Exactly.
And men will shut it down. Look, we won't leave. We might not leave the room, but now we know how to look, men. We know how to shut it down on the inside, don't we?
Yeah, yes, sir.
You know how they call it the poker face.
Yep.
We can put that expression on and make you think we all into what you saying. But man, we thinking about the game. We thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
What you saying right now?
You tell the truth right now.
Yeah.
And that's why when it comes back again later, she coming back saying, we just had this conversation. We just talked about this 2 weeks ago. And you trying to there you go, bringing this up again. You always bringing that up. She keep bringing it up because you ain't get it the first time.
Lord forgive me. I had to work on that my doggone self. I'm going to be honest with you. I had to work on that myself. Sometimes when you don't want to hear something you act like you listening, but you really not listening. And I got the type of wife, she'll come back and she's that type. She'll come back and ask you that like probably an hour later, and I'll be sitting around like, yeah, I remember what you said. You know, so I had to work on that myself. Yeah. So I understand that.
My wife is smart. You ever took one of them aptitude tests where you know they keep asking you the same question?
Yeah,
they asking like different.
They just asking in different ways.
Yeah,
like, man, you just asked me this about that.
Look, and the whole algorithm behind that program is to see how consistent you are with your answer.
Yes, sir.
If you paying attention to what you're being asked.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So look, fellas, let's jump into 5 reasons, right? And I think we hit on most of the ones that we was going to talk about tonight, if not all of them. But since we were already here, let's talk about this. You ignore her. I think that's here's the thing that I've learned about women over the years, right? Women are just natural reciprocators. Mm-hmm. If you do right by them, they have no problem with doing right by you, and oftentimes they go above and beyond.
You've been listening to my wife, haven't you?
No.
That's her statement. She tell every marriage counseling session we have. My wife tell them men, listen, if you treat that wife right, if you pay attention to her, there ain't nothing she won't do for you. I think she opens up with that with every session we have.
Because I think that's just women in general. And I think if we as men understood that, we would be more inclined to make sure that we do whatever it is that we can to make her happy, because I don't think a lot of us realize, just because women, that's just something that's just in them. If they love you, they are going to just automatically do whatever it is that they can to make sure that you're happy. Mm-hmm. So it would seem that it would behoove men to say, well, man, I know that if I keep this girl happy, she gonna be on her P's and Q's. So let me make sure that I be on mine. But I just find like women they're just naturally reciprocators like that. But one of the biggest issues that a lot of women have is that, fellas, you tend to ignore her. And you do, and you wonder why she's nagging all the time. Well, she's nagging because the reason why she keeps nagging is because she asked you to do something 4, 5, 6, 20 times,
and you ain't did it yet. And
you haven't done it yet. And now she's in that mode where it's like, why don't you? How come you can't?
Now she's irritated. She's irritated now.
Now she's irritated. Yeah. And now we want to get mad and say, well, why? You know what? Why you always this, you always that?
Not I'm watching the game. You wait till the game to start all this stuff.
Not remembering the fact that she's already previously asked you 30 times.
She asked you before the game came on. She asked you before the game came on, and now you just sat around and haven't did nothing. Now you into the game, and you saying that she's bothering you, but really she's not bothering you. She asked you this like an hour, like probably about 2 or 3 hours before the game came on, but you lagging, you're not paying attention to her. So now it seems like she's bothering you.
Right.
You're trying to watch the Bulls or the Bears or something, and now it's like.
And 9 times out of 10, she could care less about the Bulls or the Bears right now because she needs you to do what she asked you to do 2 days ago.
Yeah. And look, and when you keep ignoring her, now you're trying to figure out why, something you need a little bit late on that evening.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right.
Can we keep it 100?
Right. You're right. You're right.
You wonder why, it ain't happening like you think.
It get cold on the other side, Pastor. It get cold on the other side of the bed. It get cold on the other side of that bed.
Yeah. See, now you're starting to feel what ignore look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, it all connects.
Yes, sir.
It all connects. And look, and even if, fellas, maybe her delivery may come off a little harsh, but you got to understand why. It's because and a lot of times, here's the thing, if she didn't need you to do it, she wouldn't have even asked you.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, this is something that she needs you to do because she asked you to do it. Incline to her request. Get it. How many times have you asked your kids to do something?
Yeah.
And they didn't do it?
Yeah.
How frustrated did you get because of that?
Yep.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the exact same
We do,
thing.
but you know what? Can we admit it, brothers? We as men, sometimes we do procrastinate on a lot of things, like minimal, like things that we might look at as minimal things.
Absolutely.
You know, things that we might look at as like real small and minimal. We like,
do I really need to put this doorknob on right now?
Right now.
I get to it.
That door at this moment.
You don't even use that door that much.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Now look, I'm gonna push back a little bit.
Go ahead, push back.
I'm gonna push back on two things. Now, I get it where you say delivery, but reason why I'm hard on the delivery is because that's what's going to get you the results that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
So look, the Bible says this. It says harsh words stir up anger, but a soft answer turns away wrath.
Yes,
And then there's another proverb scripture that says a word spoken in season is like a pitcher of golden apples. Sometimes men, we feel the way we do about the request because maybe the timing wasn't right. And the delivery, now listen, it's the way, even if you asking your kids something, it's still a way you got to ask your kids something sometimes. Right. Now, I'm not talking about the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time.
Right.
But now, if women have a way of delivering wrong because that's how they've always talked to people, then it's going to come off to us like, well, wait a minute. Now, first of all, hold on. Do you have to say it like that?
Right.
I mean, we are talking about a doorknob here. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's a time for that extra, but sometimes women don't always know when to do the right kind of delivery. So I'm not just jumping into the fin. I'm just trying to put some
I get you.
Here.
But you know what? That's why the older women back in the day used to have a honeydew list. See, some of y'all young women don't know about them honeydew lists. Look, them honeydew lists. That man will build her a house and pave a driveway, and all you need to do is make him a little Kool-Aid, and he had that stuff done.
Cook him a little dinner. That's all.
It's all right. Cause
that's how my mama got my day like that. I was like, my father didn't work on the weekends, right? So she had a honey-to-do list. Yeah. So what she would do is she would milk him. She'd get up and make him a big breakfast.
Man, look, they knew how to
make him
do
a good breakfast. Then turn around and he'd get like a corned beef sandwich for lunch or something like that. And that's really how my father go out there, do everything he want, then he'd get a big dinner. So back in the days, you know,
they knew how to do it, man. They knew how to do it.
Yeah, the women knew how to coach their husbands.
Stop ignoring her, fellas. That's one of the biggest things. So look, let's talk now. Let's dive into it a little bit different because Steve, you kind of hit on it earlier. He said you ignoring her now, and then later on you looking for a little something. Listen. One of the reasons she may be tired of you is because maybe you lost that little spark that you once had.
Woo-hoo.
You know, fellas, we got that thing. How they say, I want her to be a lady in the streets, but a freak in the sheets. Y'all heard that saying. Let's act like we ain't never heard.
Some of your brothers got to listen to that also. Some of your brothers got. Now we gonna be grown. We gonna be grown real quick, fellas.
Absolutely.
Just like you want your women to stay spicy and all that. Absolutely. Brothers, y'all gotta stay spicy too now.
You gotta stay. Listen, you
can't for your wives. Now, I'm just saying. I'm speaking from a marriage standpoint.
Right.
When you've been married for some years and stuff, you do have to keep your marriage spicy. A lot of people don't want to admit to that, but you do. You do have to keep it spicy. So just like you want that woman to still be able to, float your boat, you got to still be able to float her boat. Yeah. Also.
Listen,
especially if I'm gonna put it this way. And I'm gonna talk about myself right here, fellas. Look, now sometimes if the female, she still got that body, she still got that banging, all of that, the look, everything. It's easy for us to still get excited about it. But now if we ain't got that,
Yeah,
right.
We ain't, we ain't got that.
Right.
We gotta compensate in some other areas.
yeah,
And that means in the romance area.
Come on.
You know what? And here's the thing I'm gonna tell you. My wife tell my sons all the time, you don't always have to have money.
Right.
You know, a lot of fellas say, well, I don't do nothing with it because, I don't have no money or I ain't got the. Now, sometimes you just got to learn how to be creative too.
Yeah.
And women love to be romanced. And the more personal you get, look, a woman would prefer a handwritten poem over a Hallmark greeting card. Because it's about the thought and effort you put into it.
Just being spontaneous, fellas.
Exactly.
Just being spontaneous.
It means that you got to start looking at yourself. What were you doing before that you stopped doing?
Yep.
And then you got to start doing that stuff. And we used to say, what you did to get her,
you got to do
to keep her.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's 30 years into this thing. I have and in this challenge, every year we try to figure out after 30 years of birthdays, 30 years of Valentine's Day, sweetest days, anniversaries, Christmases. That's a lot of Mother's Day. That's a lot of gifts. And you trying to figure out what can you do. And that's something me and my wife, we pride ourselves in. We're always trying to figure out how can we do better than we did the last year for that gift. And it gets a little challenging after a while, but what it does, it makes you think.
Yeah.
And then
it makes you plan.
It makes you plan, exactly.
And fellas, we're horrible planning.
No, we ain't planning nothing real good.
No, that's what I'm saying. We're horrible at planning. And that's why and the whole thing, if you lost it, you gotta find a way to get it back. Look, because it's just like Steve said, if she still got it, we want them to be sliding down poles and fishnets and everything else. Yeah. But now you up in there, you got on mix max socks, you got on what you done had on the last 3 days.
You got the basketball shorts on with the dick only tank top on.
You got whatever it was you ate yesterday still on your shirt. So it's like how you want her to be hot and sexy, and you up in there looking like a hobo. Come on, dog.
As soon as you take your shoes off,
right?
You taking your shoes, your socks off. She can't get into you because she can't get past that foot smell. I'm saying that, fellas, because I dealt with that. I had to go to the doctor. I said, listen, that was becoming a problem. And I had to deal with that.
Right.
Because see, look, she was getting tired of that.
Right. And you know what? And you're absolutely right. Man, look, sometimes it's a look, it's a touch, it's a text in the middle of the day. It's a lot of things. All I'm saying is, guys, is that if you whatever and Pastor Steve said it right, whatever you did to pull her, you got to do that and then some.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So let's go on. That's I love that. That's good stuff. So now, speaking of which, I think this is a good this is actually a good segue into that. You stopped dating her.
Yep.
It's like you stopped.
Y'all got married and just stopped doing everything.
And Steve, now I want you to push back on this because here's the thing. Sometimes, fellas, we get comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Life happens.
Yeah.
Work happens.
We get relaxed.
It happens. And you get relaxed and you get comfortable. And so that stuff, dating and all that stuff, is just like, listen, because you're comfortable with she's not going anywhere. I'm not going.
She ain't going nowhere.
Not even that attitude, but it's just like you're just comfortable in your relationship that she's not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. So it's like that expedience to still do the stuff that kind of carrying over that you used to do. Mm-hmm. Do you remember back in the day, Phil? Before all this digital stuff happened, we used to do mixtapes.
Yeah. Yes.
Sure
you know what I'm saying? Okay, so look,
had our boom box and everything.
Come on, we used to do we used to set up all the songs that were saying everything that we wanted to say. We would put that on that tape and give her that tape. So every time she listened to it, that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to tell
They did the talking for us.
They did the talk, drifting on a memory. Look, they did all. So we did that.
Yeah.
You know, there were things that we did, and as time goes, when you're together for a while, that comfort sets in, and you stop doing it.
Yep.
And we have to get out. We have to get out of our comfort zone.
Yeah.
In that regards, and say, listen, okay, every now and again, and look, and like Steve said, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. Maybe it's just send the kids to grandma. You know what I'm saying? Get you a movie night. Get y'all some popcorn. You know, and don't do the microwave stuff either. You got to go old school. Get you a pot and some seeds, and you sit up there and you pop that popcorn. Put some love in it. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, have y'all a little movie night. You gotta keep it going.
Look, can I share this with you?
Because it's so easy for us not to.
Let me share this with you. They asked a question. They said, how does a couple that's married 25 years, 30 years divorce after 30 years of marriage?
Mm-hmm.
And I often say this because, especially if you have kids involved, I always say kids are a marvelous distraction.
Oh my God.
For about 25 years.
Yes.
Because life happens and it's not always intentional. I mean, we understand that you're trying to work, you're trying to take care of the family, you're trying to pay bills, all that, raise the kids, and somewhere you started being more mom and dad, and you stopped being husband and wife.
Yeah, man.
And the way that happens is, so now once the kids get older, they out of school, they out the house, then you have these two people in that empty nest stage, and they sitting there looking at each other like total strangers.
Like, I have no idea what to do with this person.
What to do at this point, because all throughout that period, you stop being husband and wife.
Yeah.
You was mother and father.
Exactly. You were mother and father, but you stopped being husband and wife. But the good news is, rather than divorce and leave, look at it as the opportunity. Okay, now it's time to redo all that again. So now the excuses have been taken away.
Yeah.
But now if you continue, and I tell couples, you got to find a date night.
You have to.
And the frequency is totally dependent on what your availability is, but at least once a month. And that's where I was saying earlier, say, well, I can't go date night because we got to pay this. We got to date night don't mean you got to spend money. Date night could be in your house.
Yeah.
Date night is watching a movie together, cooking dinner, sharing some time. Like you said, get the kids out of there. Every just once a month. And then if you enjoy it enough, your frequency is going to start increasing anyway.
That's true.
But I would say right now, at least twice a month, and then get out the house sometimes too. Look, we love to go for walks. We like to go for drives, go to the beach, look. I don't know about y'all listening. If y'all know about 55th Lakefront.
Come on now.
We don't know about 55th Lakefront.
Come on now.
779 South Shore Drive.
That's right. That's right.
That's what we had our spots.
Yes, sir.
You know the spots.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we do. We get in that car, we go to the spot. And that's what we do, what we got to do. But that's what it got us out the house, got us in a different environment. And then we was just able to focus on each other. And that's what you got to do, even in your relationship, fellas. You cannot stop dating.
That's right.
You got to date. And look, I'm going to tell you, and that's why we started getting mad when all of a sudden, old boy started walking around. All of a sudden, somebody from work, she hollering about so-and-so from
the work husband.
But yeah, exactly. See, because what happened, they can detect that.
Yeah.
And see, just like, and this is for men and women, but since we're talking to the men tonight, look, fellas, can't nobody sit in your chair if you sitting in it.
That's right. That's right.
Now, if you look, if you ain't handling your business, you
come
can't
on now.
Somebody else want to come in and try to handle it for you.
Preach, Pastor, preach.
That's just the bottom line.
Yes, sir.
You can't expect. Look, you can't send no hungry dog into a butcher shop.
That's right.
And expect him not to want to eat something.
That's facts.
When you send your female out there without the emotional support, without the emotional care, without the romancing, look, all brother at the job got to do is just say a few things.
All he got, that's all.
Listen is what draws most couples away from each other. Somebody else listened and you didn't.
That dude, that job husband you was talking about, Mike.
Yeah,
that's the guy that's listening to all the stuff that you're not listening to.
I mean, because think about it. If she's at work, she's spending 8 hours of the day with that guy.
40+ hours a week.
You know, and then so let's just think about this. Y'all let's just say if you actually get a decent night's sleep, you sleep for 6, maybe 7 hours out of the day.
Yep.
You're probably commuting anywhere between half an hour. So let's just say you're probably commuting anywhere between an hour to 2 hours a day.
Yep.
Right. So that's already 9 hours. And then you add another 8 onto that because they're working. How often do you all they see her more than you do half the time?
Right. Yep.
She's talking to him more probably than she's talking to you. And that actually kind of goes into the next thing is that you ain't making her a priority.
That's it there. I'm dropping the mic.
Yeah.
I'm not making her a priority.
Yeah.
You know, and I can't speak for everybody, but I believe that sometimes, man, all of us are guilty of that.
All of us.
All of us are guilty of that.
I'm a preacher. I'm a pastor. I know it intimately.
Yeah.
That's something I've had to deal with that in my marriage for years as a preacher.
Yeah.
His prioritization. And it's funny, as I was driving home, this is one of the points I was saying a prayer. And this is one of the points I was praying about right there, that we don't prioritize. I'm constantly asking God now, help me to prioritize, because the minute your marriage, your relationship is your first ministry.
Yeah. Look, and people don't understand. It's like, because see, we were conditioned that, especially if you're a believer and if you go to church was first.
Yep.
That's what we were taught.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of married church folks getting divorced because you had sister so-and-so that was spending all of her time at church and wasn't giving no time to the man at home, or you had brother so-and-so or deacon so-and-so spending all of his time at church and wasn't giving sister so-and-so no time when you were at home. How long you think that's gonna last before they get tired?
Yep.
And biblically speaking, show me in the Bible,
come on,
where it said church first.
Come on now, Pastor.
What it said was God first.
That's
God
right.
first.
And that's where the misconception came from.
Absolutely.
We were telling people church.
It should have been God. Yeah.
Now, what he said was, now forsake not the assembling of yourselves together. But that meant when it was time for different services, but it didn't say every day either.
Yeah.
Come on.
You know, and that's where we as pastors, we as preachers, we as church leaders, we have to be careful not to burden our people with that to the point that they lose sight of family time, lose sight of taking care of their home and their marriage. Look, you can't keep these folk in church all the time and then their marriages are breaking down, but you telling them just make sure you at the next service.
And then if the marriage failed, you looking at the guy like, what you do?
Exactly. And not only did you lose, now you potentially didn't lose just one member. Now you probably lost two because they can't stay in the same church.
You lost both of them.
And then if they got kids, then you know the kids are going to be divided up.
Yep.
So that's why we are to be teaching our men, the pastors, we are teaching the men to make your families the priority. Yeah. Making your wife is the priority. Women, I have to say, I had to learn that. That was a tough one for me.
And you know what, Pastor? I'm be honest with you, man. That was an issue with me. It was just like how. You know, and it's so easy for you, and you be thinking like, well, what are you talking about? You're not my priority, because in our minds we're thinking, well, I'm doing this, I'm taking care of the house, I'm doing this, that, and the other, and we think that's making her,
but it's not
priority, but it's not. It's those things
exactly.
And so we have to, fellas, I'm telling you, we have to be careful.
Speak on it, brother-in-law.
When it comes to making your significant other a priority, because it just goes back to the other things, not ignoring her, keeping that spark alive, doing the dating thing. If she's a priority, then all of those other things would actually fall into place.
Yeah. Have you all ever heard this? You ever heard the statement, when everything's a priority, then nothing is a priority?
I've never heard that.
What that means, and I tell people, I say, when you make everything a priority, then nothing is a priority. Because everything cannot have the same level of attention.
Absolutely. That makes
when you group your wife in the everything is a priority, she isn't a priority anymore. No more than the thing that you're doing on your phone, no more than the thing that you're doing in the yard. Everything. Right. Nah, she has to be seen and know that she is up here. Mm-hmm. Just like God is up here.
Right.
We can't have him grouped into everything else.
No.
We can't have her grouped into everything else.
Not at all.
And I had to learn that a hard way through many look like we say through many dangerous toils and snares. Look, I had to learn that the hard way. And and then it gave my wife a lot of grief and it caused me to lose us, almost lose her because I was trying, and then I was busy trying to defend what I was doing, making her feel like she was wrong because she didn't understand that I'm trying to do all of this.
Wow.
Wait a minute, what you mean? You supposed to support that?
Yeah.
Yeah, she can support whatever you're doing when she feels like you supported her.
This is true.
And it's blurred lines, fellas, and that's one thing we have to learn how to do. We gotta prioritize because no woman wants to be number two. Only one she want to be number two is to God.
Yep.
Now, if you out there and your female ain't saved and you ain't in the church and all that, then she want to be number one, period.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is, if that's your mate, they have to be number one. And you have to find ways to make sure she knows she's number one. My wife used to say, listen, don't take me to places you took other women.
So I ain't trying to look. I don't
look, it ain't special. Don't do the same stuff you did to me that you did with them, because then I don't feel special.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it makes sense. It makes sense. Actually, I probably should have did this one first because this is nothing compared to the other ones that we're talking about. But half y'all Negroes don't help around the house. Let's just be honest. Y'all ain't helping around the house. And I'm
going there and wash a dish.
Right. It ain't nothing worse than for your wife to come home and realize that you ain't cooked and ain't did nothing, especially if you've been home
all day long.
Come on, fellas.
Yeah.
We gotta do better. And really, that's what all of this is about. You know what? And me and Phil have found out that over the years of us doing this podcast, it has been very therapeutic. And the reason being is because a lot of the things, and Steve, you can relate to this as a minister, a lot of times when you get a message, the message is to you first.
It's always to me first. It's got to resonate with me first.
It got to resonate with you first. And a lot of the things that we talk about resonate with us first. And like this is something that I know that I needed because we have to listen, fellas. And here's the cool thing. If none of this applies to you, awesome. God bless you and the many years that you and your significant other's gonna have together.
Now go walk on some water.
Right. If some of these things apply to you, my advice to you would be to go and talk to your significant other and say, hey, is this an issue with us?
Yeah.
Is this something that, do you feel this way, or, have I did this, or am I doing this, or, and if especially if that you all don't talk, because I'm telling you now, in the grand scheme of things, not talking ain't going to help it. It's not going to go away because
it's four words are?
Man.
What's the four most hated words of men for their wife to say? We need to talk.
It is the most dreaded words ever.
Listen, but you know what, Mike? Before we, I think it comes down to just us men. Sometimes we have to. Sometimes even though we don't want to, because we have the mentality that we're the men, we're the provider, we're the protection and all that. But sometimes we have to humble ourselves and really do some soul searching and realize that we're not perfect either. And just like we look for so much from a woman, sometimes we have to look within and ask ourselves, am I doing everything I need to do to make this woman happy? Yep. Am I doing everything I need to do to make my marriage or my relationship better?
Yep.
So I'm sorry, Mike. It all just comes down to just being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
But go ahead, bro.
No, and you know what, you're right though, because it is hard for a lot of men to do, because
it really is, Mike.
Here's the thing is when your significant other approach you with something that's wrong, in your mind, that's almost like failure, because it's like, oh, I'm not doing this right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's hard for a man to admit that it's something that's hard for anybody to admit.
It's like a blow-tie ego. It's like a blow-tie ego.
That's that ego trip right there. Automatically go into defense mode.
Yeah. It's that ego trip. It's hard for you to admit that you did something or you're doing something wrong. And until you're able to admit that, man, I wasn't very good. I didn't pay her the attention that I should have paid her, or I didn't do this, or whatever the case scenario may be, until you can honestly look at that and say, man, I didn't do this, and really just try to do better, because that's all we want to do.
That's all.
And it's not, and it's not going to be easy, because like I say, we go back to the ego thing as being men,
right?
So we're not saying like it's going to be an easy thing to do, but seriously. If you want to make your relationship, your marriage work, sometimes you have to look at yourself. Yep. Sometimes you have to look in that mirror and see what it is about me. What am I doing wrong or what am I doing right? Before I can start asking her or telling her what she's not doing or what she's doing and all that. You got to make sure you straight first. Yeah, that's what it all comes down to, humbling yourself sometimes. Sometimes we as men, we don't want to humble ourselves.
Benita said, let that house be clean and them kids all together and see what she do for you.
Look, Benita. Look. Sister Benita, you're right. Look, and fellas, y'all don't believe her. I'm just going to say this. Try it out. How you know it don't work?
How you know it don't work? Now, look.
Do it a few times.
Have that bathroom clean.
Thank you.
Not just clean by our standards, because our standards ain't like the wives. I'm talking about having the toilet paper actually on the holder.
Right. Well, let her see that effort. Now sometimes we ain't about gonna clean as good as they do sometimes.
Exactly.
But I think they're not necessarily looking for, they're not a right woman. Now that example you used way in the beginning.
Yeah.
That ain't the right situation.
No, that ain't the right one.
But now the right woman will see the effort.
Yes, sir.
Because they just looking for the effort.
Yeah.
Come on, tired. She been working all day, even if she working from home. If she been on the clock all day, look, you mad because she don't want to cook. She don't want to do nothing. Well, what did you do? See, if you have some of that stuff done right there, now it becomes a partnership. And that's what I tell couples in marriage. Marriage is a partnership.
Look,
it's not a slave. It's not a slave relationship.
It's a partnership that comes with naps and snacks.
Exactly. So yeah, I agree. If you do all of that, look, she will do that.
She will.
Show some effort, man.
Absolutely.
Denard said, "Are you all saying happy wife, happy life?"
I'm not only saying happy wife, happy life. I'm saying happy spouse, happy house.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
It needs to go both ways. Now we are talking specifically to the men on tonight about the stuff that we can do better, but it needs to be happy spouse, happy house. Because if everybody is happy, can you imagine how great your house will be? Oh my God!
Exactly.
But y'all know what, we go back to the F. Sometimes that's all women want to see. It's the effort.
Yeah.
Effort.
Absolutely.
That you thought about.
Yeah. Sometimes that's all a woman wants to see from you is at least he trying. Right. Now, if you're not trying, then that's different. But sometimes all a woman really want to see is, give me some effort. Show me that you're trying to do something. Show me that you're trying to do this, or you're trying to change this or something like that. So that's basically what it comes down to.
Be teachable. Even in the trying, be coachable, be teachable.
Yeah.
You know what? She said, I appreciate the effort, but now let me show you how you can do it now.
Yeah.
And that's when you don't just step away. Okay, well, you got it now? Okay, I'm gone. Look, I tried. I mean,
all right.
I at least turned the water on. Come on, let's be real. Let's not be chill. Let's not be immature about it. We talk about a real effort.
Right. That's right.
And then if she can come in and say, "Well, look here, babe. Here's what you do here." Like folding. I'm terrible with folding clothes.
Oh man,
terrible. But you know what? When we wash, we bring them clothes in, and she told me the other day. She said, "I noticed you show a lot of put them washcloths and towels away. But look, I'm like, that's what I'm doing. You know, that's me getting in the middle. I'm taking the underwear upstairs. I'm taking all that stuff. But the point is, I'm there with her in the folding.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's what, and I think she likes that. She appreciates that. And then sometimes, fellas, I'm gonna throw this at you. If you try and you show some real effort, sometimes they'll be like, you know what, I got this, babe. Oh, I know you.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, every once in a while they'll be like, you know, I appreciate. I got this, babe. You gonna
they probably know you really ain't that great, and they be like, look, I appreciate you helping, but you slowing me down.
They gotta come behind you and undo everything you did.
They go right behind you, like, oh my God, unfold every shirt that you did.
But look, she can, but I guarantee you one thing: when she hearing her friends talk about what they man ain't doing or what they man ain't helping out with, you know, she'll be able to say, well, look, wow, you know, at least I can say my man at least try.
Right.
You know, he'll get in and he'll wash a load. He'll try to cook. He'll make sure the garbage taken out. And fellas, guess what that's gonna do? That's gonna start making her appreciate you even more.
Yep.
So you become the benefactor of that.
Good stuff, man.
30 years of marriage here. You know, I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. 30 years, you know a whole lot of what you're talking about.
This was one for the books, fellas. I appreciate Pastor as always. You know, I appreciate you, man. We're gonna try to keep this series running as long as we can.
Yes, we are.
It's helping me, and I know it's gonna help somebody else. Look, and whoever's gonna go back and read, like I said, ladies, share. You know, tag somebody in it. Listen, watch it with your sons.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, because it's like, listen, because they future husbands.
That's right.
And you gotta, and even you fellas that's out there, if y'all, who was watching now, if you go back and watch it later, man, you know what's funny? I kind of want to do a show on that too, because I want to get some young men on here in regards to dating now, because the dating scenario is so different than it was when we was in the game. It's just like, how do they even navigate? Do they navigate? It's like, I would love to have some young men on talking about that, because you know what struck me. The reason why I say that is I was talking to my nephew, and I was like, you know, a lot of women believe that chivalry is dead, and he said, "What's chivalry?" He didn't even know what it was, and I was like, "What?" He said, "Yeah, what's chivalry?" I'm like, "Stop playing." He was like, "No, for real, what is it?" I'm like, "You don't know what chivalry is?" He was like, "No." And it blew my mind.
No, these little youngers don't know nothing about that.
He didn't know what it is. So I think what I want to do, Pastor, I'm gonna see if I can get some young men on. Maybe I'll solicit my son and see if he can get some of his friends on here, and we can talk about that, because listen, you know, they need this too, and you know, I would love to get them on, because if we get them now, you know what I'm saying, and put it in them now, then I believe that'll help them in the long run, because it's, man, some of the stuff because you look at all the influences out there now, man, ain't nobody dating. Do people even date anymore? It's like, is that even a thing now?
Look, they got so many terms now, entanglements, and man, we don't have no labels. We don't want to label nothing. We don't call them nothing. I'm fluid. You know, I'm like, what?
So I don't even know, but I don't know. We'll have to try to work that out. But Pastor, man, as always, I appreciate
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for having me on again.
Yes, sir.
Love you, brothers. Y'all got some good content.
Yes. We trying, man. We're trying to come up. You know, we're trying to come up with it. You know, and I appreciate you coming on and giving your insight. And listen, I appreciate all of you guys for coming on and hanging out with us. If you like what you heard, please spread the word. Let the people know about the Man Up Real Talk podcast. You can let them know that they can follow us on social media. They can follow us on Facebook at our Man Up Real Talk podcast page. And they can also follow us on YouTube and various other social media outlets.
Please go like, subscribe our page.
Yes, we out there. All you got to do is go ahead and Google us and you'll find us. So we appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We thank y'all for hanging out with us. And on behalf of Philip Hines and Pastor Gibson, you get 2 fingers to the side, my friend. Until we talk again. holler at your boys because we out.
Peace.
Peace.